Hello, hello, hello. It is the Nerd Meons.
Hey, boys and girls. So we're live. We're back on Nerd Meon, MyCyRadio.eu. I'm Peter.
And I'm Despina. Willkommen aus einer Show.
So, what have you guys been doing this week? And since you can't answer, I'm going to ask Peter over here.
Yeah, actually, what have you guys been doing this week? Why don't you get on Facebook and get on the Nerd Me on Facebook page and have a chat with us as well? Tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah, actually, this week we've been properly prepared to contact you guys. We can talk with you with no weird interferences of other devices. So, I don't know about you. This week, I think one thing that's been on most people's minds has been Candy Crush Saga. And, no, not because it's such a great game.
Candy Crush Saga, it's the best game ever.
Yes. That's why. Not because it was, it's throwing lawsuits all over the place.
You guys need to get out there and play Candy Crush Saga. It is a fantastic game. Buy theking.com. Fantastic company. They're doing a lot of work for the gaming community at large, releasing quality content for the masses.
And now that the troll is done speaking, he can moan about what happened. We can both moan.
Who's trolling? Everybody loves patent trolls. Everybody loves patent trolls. They come marching along and they say, no. We have the word candy in our game's name. You shall not have a game with any of the words in our game titles, ever.
So yeah, basically what happened is that Candy Crush Saga makers went after the Banner Saga, like, for real. Like, we're not kidding. Because they have Saga in their name. So if they keep on going on that list, we're going to see a lot of things sectioned.
Yeah. Squaresoft in the early 90s with their Saga and Saga 2 role-playing games.
Hell, all the Star Wars Saga, Lord of the Rings Saga, the Matrix Saga. Let's just ban everybody.
Not to mention the great Norse mythology sagas.
Everything that has some sort of continuation and is therefore qualified as a saga has to be banned.
So the internet has been doing a very good job at trying to point out exactly how many things in the world exist containing the words Candy, Crush, and Saga. And rightfully so.
Okay, in case you don't know about Banner Saga, I know somebody who will be very delighted to talk about it.
Who doesn't know what Banner Saga is?
I don't know much about Banner Saga, to be honest.
The Banner Saga it's a fantastic game. It's got giant Viking Varl men and little Viking humans and sorcerers called Menders and all sorts of stuff. And it's all Norse flavored and mythology thing, and it's a turn-based strategy role-playing game, and it was on Kickstarter. What's not to like?
It's still available, isn't it, on Steam?
Steam has it for the princely sum of around €20.
Which will soon go up because they have to pay lawyers.
Or not. Justice will prevail.
So, yeah. Go for it. Go.
So, this week I played the Banner Saga, and it took me about 8 to 10 hours to finish. And I could play it through again and again and again. There are so many branches in the story. It's a real branching storyline. You can make decisions that really matter. If you make a single mistake in a battle, you're bound to die. It's punishing.
It sounds... You know what it sounds like? You remember there used to be those books? What were they called? Adventure books, was it? Where you were supposed to turn on a specific page. I used to have those. You're supposed to take a decision, they're very RPG, you're supposed to take a decision, and you turn to the page according to what decision you were taking, and you might die. Only in your book you could just go back to that page and just go meh.
What were they called? Choose your own adventure, pick your own adventure books?
Yeah, it was something like this. It was mostly I think it was mostly fantasy stuff, and they had some I think there was some horror stuff.
Yeah, there were horror ones, but I can't remember who wrote the horror ones. I had an Asterix one.
I know a girl who still has those books in Cyprus, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I saw them, like, lately. I was talking to her about them, like, a few months ago, and it was, like, I don't even remember what they feel like or what they look like, because, like, I had them when I was a kid. And then all of a sudden she goes, like, give me 1 second. She goes inside. She comes out, like, with this bunch of, like...
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah.
So there are people with collections of these things still. I mean, certainly I remember that they released these books for a number of different storylines and different sort of existing IP. So you had Asterix ones, you had...
there was Asterix ones?
Yeah, the Asterix one was all illustrated as well.
I never got my hands on an Asterix one.
You had
Didn't
an
even know that
inventory,
existed.
you had to store your magic potions and your weapons and your Roman helmets in. It was fantastic. And actually, there's a Tumblr blog out there somewhere. I obviously can't remember what it's called, but if you search for Choose Your Own Adventure Endings blog or something like this, it's a blog which has all those nasty endings that you would end up at if you picked the wrong thing. Oh, I see Desi's Googling away trying to find the URL for us.
Choose Your Own Adventures.
Yep.
Yep.
Choose Your Own Adventure Endings, some kind of blog. And it's just amazing how brutal some of these endings are. Going into great big descriptions about, bones cracking and breaking over rocks and blood spewing out and dismembered organs. And
it's actually called You Chose Wrong.
That's right. YouTchoseWrong.tumblr.com.
I'll send you guys a link on Facebook in case you want to check that. It's actually pretty cool.
Yep, Desi's posting the link to that blog right now on the Nerd Me on Facebook page, so you can check it out.
So we can do that tonight.
We can do that! Wow. Well...
Oh, yeah, you want to talk about that? It's not a lawsuit exactly. What is it? Like...
No.
It's, it was kind of a claim, wasn't it?
Yeah, patent claim on the naming. They basically want to prevent other people naming things and patenting those names. There's various reasons for this. Some people were stating that this is just flexing the fact that you have a name, so you're kind of flexing your muscles at potential competitors, saying, look at me, I have lawyers, I can defend my intellectual property.
Okay, it's not just that, because like when we decided to talk about it, what happened is that I went to Google it again, and on my Google search, all of a sudden, I Google Banner Saga, and instead of Banner Saga, I get a bunch of Candy Crush Saga results. Which is, it's one way to promote stuff. Like, it's a very sneaky way to promote yourself.
The dark side of search engine optimization. That is pretty nasty.
It's not. I mean, come on.
I mean, who wants to actually hear about Candy Crush Saga when they search for a good game? That game is horrible. It focuses on taking advantage of your most base psychological impulses. They have a behavioral psychologist sitting there going, yep, this is a list of things that will get people highly addicted. Please just implement them into your game.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but didn't they say the same thing about World of Warcraft?
But there's lore, there's story, there are characters you care about.
Yeah, which is part of the whole psychological... No? Like...
Well, no, that's like more long-term, isn't it? You only garner a certain love for the content after playing through some of it.
I don't know. To be honest, like, I believe that, okay, you're gonna do your market research and you're gonna be sneaky to get money out of people when you have a business like this, like, just whatever. This is all excused. As long as you're not being a complete... yeah. Like, as long as you're not going completely ridiculous on your requests. And I think what we're trying to point out here is how silly, how absolutely, like, ducking annoying this is. I mean,
They're not the first patent trolls, and they won't be the last. And it may well be a fault of just the way patents are controlled in the USA.
You can't go for the word saga, man. I mean, next thing you know is like, let's just go and patent the word the. Let's just the.
Well, Apple have had their fair share of weird patent complaints with people. They say that a large portion of Apple's income comes from exploiting their very general patents against other competing companies like Nokia and Samsung and Google.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if you want to be ridiculous and if you want to be a bottom, I'm trying not to curse here, but yeah, like if you want to be a bottom, you can just go ahead and like go all the way. Just go and do it all the way. Like if Apple wants to sue, let her sue. Like let her go for like what was. Do you know any names of like I don't know like companies that make apple sauces and just anything that has to do with any kind of apple, just go all the way, man. Like
apples in the grocery shop.
Like in the grocery shop. Like go and tell grocery shop that they need the license from apples if they're gonna say that they have apples. Otherwise they have to like go and say like green or red fruit.
I mean, they had the patent on the whole touchscreen thing for a long time. I bet they're still exploiting people for that. So I'm going to put 2 fingers on a screen, and now no one else can do that. You cannot put that in your software. Your users may only use 1 finger. Or 3. Or 4. Or 5. Or 6.
Or 20. Like, go with the toes.
Yeah. You need a really big screen.
Like a double screen, like a top screen and a bottom screen, and you can like use your toes for it. That will be the next level of console gaming.
Yeah, and speaking of next level of console gaming and multiple screens and fingers and toes.
Oh yeah, good thing.
I mean, we've heard over the past couple of days that the Nintendo Wii U, being the entirely next-gen beast that it is, with all of its raging hardware specs and ability to play next-gen games without any frame lag whatsoever. Batman Arkham City. Running at 30 FPS. But yeah, price drop. You can get on Amazon right now and order the 32GB Wii U with Nintendo Land for 180 British pounds.
Ooh.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper.
We need like crowd noises here, like. We're soon gonna upload jingles, guys, and then I'll get to do crowd noises for you whenever Peter says something. It will be just like.
Or we could have Hadouken.
Yes.
Hadouken.
Yes, Hadouken. Yes.
Shoryuken.
Yes.
And all the nice sounds, the ones you would expect, the Monty Python ones, the Naruto ones. Datebayo. Datebayo. Dondake. Sure. So it's okay for us to swear in Japanese.
Yes. We can just spread over the language swearing.
Dondake.
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 I know that you wanted to talk about the Smash Bros. Birthday.
What is this Smash Bros? The Smash Bros. Birthday.
Yeah.
Yes. We are all officially ancient. Smash Brothers.
Oh my God, no. You don't, no. Don't even say that. Did you just call us ancient? Did you? No. I'm a girl. You cannot call me ancient.
I am ancient.
You are
as old as time.
I do not know I don't know Smash Bros. I was born yesterday. I have no idea what you're talking about. I am... They can't see me, can they?
No, why must we keep making visual references?
I'm a teenager. I'm very pretty. I'm a 10.
Close your eyes and imagine this situation. 2 old people sitting behind microphones.
Oh my God, shut up.
Pretending not to be old.
This is my grandpa. We haven't told you this, but Peter is actually my grandfather.
Back in my day when we used to play Smash Brothers on the Nintendo 64, it was a fun game. Do you remember the advertising?
What is an N64, Papa?
Well, it was before we had proper 3D graphics, and before they perfected the singularity, and we all had eternal lives ahead of us.
What does the N stand for, Papa?
It stands for Nintendo.
What does the 6 and the 4 stand for? Was it made when you were born?
Right, enough.
1864.
Enough. The Nintendo 64 is not that old.
Okay, it's 15 years old, the Smash Bros, not the Nintendo 64.
Actually, how old is the Nintendo 64?
Actually...
A little bit older than 15 years. But
look what I can do here.
You need to go on YouTube and you need to check out the live-action trailer for the first Smash Brothers game, because that is insane. Think Teletubbies with Nintendo characters.
Oh God, no. Now nobody will go check it out.
Go, look for it. Just like we told you to go look for the Japanese Spider-Man a couple weeks ago. Now, there's just all this crazy stuff. But old video game adverts are probably one of the things I love collecting the most. There's so much crazy out there.
June 1996 for the Nintendo 64. June 1996.
And the very next year, Final Fantasy VII came out on the PlayStation 1 and crushed Nintendo forevermore.
How many years ago was 96? I don't even want to think about it. Yeah, never mind. So...
It was a long time ago. Why does it have to be such a long time ago?
It's not. It's...
Look, when it's more than a decade ago, you start thinking, I'm old. Anyway, let's not focus on our age.
Yeah, so... Infinity Shred, huh?
Infinity Shred!
Yeah, Infinity Shred.
Infinity Shred. So, we talked a lot about a band called Anamanaguchi over the past couple of weeks. They're a chiptune band, if you haven't already sort of listened to the last shows. Do you reckon they listened to the last shows?
If they did, they would have probably, clicked spam up until now. When it came to Anamanaguchi.
We do like Anamanaguchi. And there is news, right? About Anamanaguchi since last week even.
Oh, yeah, there is. You're right. There is. They are releasing a new video.
For which song?
You tell me.
Prom Night. The only song that they released with vocals. And I think this was a bit at getting onto the charts. Because it sounds very poppy.
It sounds
very
awkward.
Generic.
Okay. I listen to it and I personally want to go shut up, woman. Shut up, woman. Let the music go. Shut up, woman.
Let the chiptune play. Silence. Stop saying words like baby and oh my...
Does she say baby?
Yes. Too many times.
I don't think I actually managed to listen that far.
So anyway, Infinity Shred. Let's stop talking about Anamanaguchi. Infinity Shred are also a chiptune band. And they appeared on The Verge probably a year ago now. And played their probably their most catchy song up till then off their first EP, known as Untitled 001 and Gnar 001, whichever you... You know, I ordered the EP online the other day.
You did?
Yeah. I got you a copy as well.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Aww. No.
So the EP...
Be friends with Peter.
It's only $5 on infinityshredd.com. They do ship to Cyprus.
Oh, that's why you got it for me. All right, yeah.
But it's all nicely wrapped in the silver packaging. You take it out, all the cover art, and they've got collectible cards and all sorts of stuff inside. So I thought,
awesome.
Collector's item.
So you actually went and bought something online?
Yeah.
Because you usually just you're 90% of the time on eBay and you buy nothing.
That's true. I do spend endless hours on eBay staring woefully at the things that I can't have. Final Fantasy VII display stand. Chrono Trigger original retail poster. Super Nintendo. What do?
We can open we can have a campaign for you. A charity campaign for you to be able to get all of your games.
I am not a charitable cause. Of course, I am the last of my kind. The
no,
giant
you're not.
dwarves.
No, you're not. No.
Not even that.
Sorry, man.
Can you think of a reason why people should donate nice things to me for a charitable cause?
I think it's enough if they actually go and support the games that you want to have released on Kickstarter.
Yeah, go Kickstart
At least
Unsung
they get
Story.
to get something back from it.
Kickstart Unsung Story. It's lost steam since last week. They haven't been getting enough backers.
I'm so sorry for enabling that. I'm really sorry for enabling that.
But whoa. Back to Infinity Shred. We've segued a million miles away, and people are laughing at us because we're on the most ridiculous...
It's fine. Nobody's listening to us. We're just talking to ourselves.
Oh, that's right. We don't actually have any listeners. Okay. Well, yeah, Infinity Shred. So let's talk to ourselves about them. They are a bit odd. Their music could be described as ambient and rocky and electric. And, well, I guess we should play one of their songs for them, huh?
We should. They should know what they're getting into when they're listening to you.
What do you mean when they're listening to me?
You know, when they're listening to you recommend stuff, they should know what they're getting into.
Infinity Shredder is incredible. It sounds like you're kind of insulting my taste.
No, I'm saying
you
just
like
give
them.
an example. Give an example. It's okay. Yes.
What?
Push the button. Push the button.
But we're not good at putting music on. It always sounds like the last word gets cut off and the beginning of the song gets cut off.
It's okay. We can make it a trend. Next thing you know, in 5 years from now, if they still haven't kicked us off the air, like everybody will be doing that.
Doing what exactly?
Well, you know, cutting while people talk, you know.
Welcome back to us as well as you. We just listened to Wayfinder by Infinity Shred and Void Ripper by Infinity Shred. And both of those songs are actually free for download on SoundCloud.com, on their official SoundCloud account. We just posted that on our Facebook page at facebook.com/nerdmeon, as well as a music video called Mapper for the song of the same name. Now, this is a weird 70s kitsch kind of space odyssey, walk in space music video, and it is incredible. You need to watch it. It is very good. Desi, am I pushing my content on them too hard?
No. Go ahead.
Watch it. It's really good. Too hard?
No. You're still good.
But if I shout any louder, the soundproofing might
crack.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, let's talk about those silences.
What?
The silences.
Which ones?
Those ones.
So, guys,
we really appreciated your feedback.
And we're trying to fix everything that was going wrong.
So we promised to bring you even more silence.
I can't do it.
The next show will be
Silence.
Nerd Beyond Silence Edition.
So, for anybody who is still listening,
are you a fan of silence? We are too. So let's all be quiet together. No?
You just broke it. I was trying to go along with it, but you just broke it.
Is it getting too much now?
Yeah,
Maybe we're making too much fun of the non-existing listeners.
Well, we heard we have one listener from our guest that will be joining us.
Yeah.
In about half an hour.
Yes, we have guests in Sweden. No, guests from Sweden.
And listeners in Sweden.
Listeners in Sweden. So lots of things in Sweden are really good. Like the fact that Stockholm is full of hipsters, and there are also towns that are very much dedicated to metal music. We both like metal music. And in Stockholm, there is actually a library. The name escapes me, as with names of most things, but they have a full manga library in there. Absolutely chock full of everything you could possibly imagine. And you can just go in there, sit in one of the comfy sofas and read it, looking out on one of the main squares of Stockholm. It's blah. We don't have those in Cyprus. Desi?
We don't have many hipsters in Cyprus then again either, so I think we're good to go.
No. We're getting more hipsters. There are more hipsters.
Do you want to import hipsters?
No, it's the glasses companies. You just can't find.
I think you're a hipster.
Narrow rim glasses
you're
anymore.
You're a hipster.
They can only find those
you're
great big
king of
googly
hipsters.
ones. With thick rims.
Hipster Peter. Hipster. So, we're gonna have guests.
No guests. I like the sound of our voices. I don't want their voices. No guests. So yeah, we're gonna have guests. Okay, Desi, we can have guests. But who are the guests?
We're gonna have Michael Ide and Martin Eriksson.
Martin Eriksson and Michael Ide.
So Martin Eriksson is from Sweden, and Michael Ide is from the Americas. And you might know them if you're into
TCG, Magic the Gathering. Mike is especially famous in the local Magic community. They love him. They absolutely love him.
Yeah, except when he beats them. But
well, he does that quite a lot. But go, Mike! Mike for win.
Mike later
okay.
with Michael Ide and.
Oh, let's talk about another Mike.
What other Mike do you want to talk
Mike
about?
Yevans.
Okay.
So, Content Beam. YouTube, Mike Yevans, infomercialism. He makes fun of all those telemarketing videos. Desi, why you no look impressed? Desi, why?
Kitsch 70 Space Odyssey type space adventures?
What? Talked about Infinity Shred. No, Mike Yevans. Infomercialism. YouTube infomercialism. He takes all those telemarketing videos. A lot of us grew up with those telemarketing videos in Cyprus.
I think they still exist.
Do they?
Oh, yeah. And it wasn't just
it.
in Cyprus. Like, I wasn't in Cyprus, and I was, like, blasted with those things.
All those sort of Ab Crusher Max and Ab Toner Extreme and all those pretty people with
Buy
the
a
shiny
silence
teeth.
now and get 5 silences later. Buy a silence within the next 5 minutes, and you get a free set of 8 silences.
And a ShamWow.
And a ShamWow for our first 3 callers.
The ShamWow was that super absorbent cloth, and the guy became a meme, the one with the crazy smiley face. You search for ShamWow, he's pretty amazing. He's actually very amazing. He's good to watch.
We'll subscribe.
But there's also this face mask, which is supposed to send electrical impulses to your face. This was the most recent video. And
What?
It slowly electrocutes your face.
What?
It looks like a
Why?
mask from Man in the Iron Mask.
Why?
Why? Why indeed?
What is the purpose of it?
Well, it's supposed to tone up your face so that when you get old, like us, you don't get a saggy face. Lots of bits drooping off your face.
Like you. Old like you. You go electrocute your
I don't even have enough spare skin on my cheeks to pull my cheek.
So this is what we use technology for now.
Well, that wasn't tech. It was in the 90s they made that. It clearly didn't catch on.
Brilliant.
Unless you think about the Leonardo DiCaprio Man in the Iron Mask movie.
Oh, God. Oh, talking about movies. Movies.
Oh, yeah, there are movies. There's actually movies in Cyprus.
There are movies in Cyprus.
We talked a lot about movies last week as well, but we didn't mention these movies.
It's a geek movie parade.
Yeah. So on K Cineplex, the K Cineplex is, there's going to be the RoboCop, the new RoboCop movie.
On the 7th February?
Yeah, it starts on the 7th of February. And
So, for a Valentine's Day date, you can take your girlfriend to see a RoboCop movie and test drive if she's nerdy enough, or else she'll break up with you.
Well, it probably will be romantic, given it's a PG-13 formulaic Hollywood film.
How does that work with RoboCop?
Well, they made him prettier. And they reduced the age rating
They shined him up, like they polished him. What did they do?
He does look quite buffed up in the metallic shining kind of way. And
Nicer colors.
Yeah, the thing about RoboCop is the most human thing you saw of him most of the time was just his lips poking out from the mask.
It was very Judge Dreddish when it came to humanity.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it was 18 and R rated, and we were all sneakily watching it late at night.
Yeah, that's why.
I mean, they had, like, the most brutal moments in those films. Surgeries and bits coming out and blood flying.
Yeah, but it was because you cannot see much of his face that it was R-rated.
The lips were the only emotion. They were the only sign of emotion. Apart from the good...
It's because if they show you the rest of his face, it's like pure fear. Like, just frightened out of his mind, freaking out.
They do show you his face, and he does look a little bit shell-shocked.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like,
I mean, you would probably look shell-shocked if you were a dead policeman resuscitated by crazy technology that involved changing most of your body into a robot.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go to a pun here, like shell-shocked, robo.
Helmet. But anyway,
Shell Cop.
When it comes to Nerd Rage, we're probably not expecting very much good stuff from this new RoboCop film, and probably plenty of Nerd Rage.
Fingers crossed we're wrong.
We'll try and be optimistic. But how much violence can they really fit in there at PG-13?
I don't know, man. Like,
not much.
I remember watching Spuma the Dragon Balls and the French versions of them. They were cutting off like a lot of stuff. And the one way to deal with violence in Dragon Ball was they painted the blood green.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't
Yep.
they? Yeah, they
Yep.
did
that that made sense. So they painted the blood green, so not to frighten the children with the red blood, because green blood is so much less frightening, right?
I mean,
So maybe they can do that. Maybe they can just have like some sort of like neon light blood, like kind of cool looking with rainbows.
yeah,
and
like strobing
kittens.
disco effects and Arnold Schwarzenegger throwing up kittens while playing with disco.
No, he'll be
balls.
saving kittens. Like he can kill somebody and then he can be like, and now I'm gonna save a kitten.
But his stomach is an eternal kitten
You,
generator.
you know it's not about violence. Like 90% of the time, it's not about violence. It's about sexual content.
But,
Like as long as no nipple pops out, they're good.
but we live in the age of Game of Thrones and such things.
Yeah, then again, Game of Thrones is not PG-13, is it?
But 13-year-olds watch it.
Do they? Do they, Peter?
I suppose they did. Just like
Please
13-year-olds.
take a mental note for future reference that at this point in time, I did not mention Game of Thrones. You did.
Oh, oops.
Aha.
That is a terrible, terrible TV program, and you should not
getting
watch
there.
it.
You're getting there.
You should instead
Yes.
watch the South Park episodes parodying the Game of Thrones.
Watch both.
And play Fallout 2. Because Fallout 2 is great. Probably one of the best games ever made. How did I get there?
Yep.
How did I get
Yep.
from Game of Thrones to Fallout 2?
Yep. That's why I'm giving you like this look right now that cannot be translated into a voice.
Because that was an incredibly gory game. But when it came to actually restricting some of the gore and the content, all they did was remove the children. You could kill children.
So as long as the children are not watching in the game, it's okay. As long as the NPC children are not watching, we're good.
So as long as your super mutant isn't mowing down a 3-year-old with his minigun, we're golden.
Oh my god.
Absolutely golden. It doesn't matter about the slavers. It doesn't matter about any of the raucous content, the mutated cows, there's so much stuff.
You know what else they did this with? Like, okay, basically, there's this comic book. It's absolutely brilliant. Came out like late 2012, I think. Saga. Awesome. If you haven't read it, like, pick it up, and you should pick it up, and I should give it to you so that you can read it. And so the storyline is very complex, and it's very like steampunkish, kind of romantic. It's a very complex storyline, though. At some point, there is a reference to child prostitution, right? Like, big chapter of the thing is like child prostitution in intergalactic kind of child prostitution, right?
You mean cheese pizza, right?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, cheese pizza. And there are these creatures, like it's a planet of sin, basically, like it's just about sex, and it's a planet of sin and whatever. And there's those creatures at the entrance, and they're basically made out of genitals and legs, and they're lady parts and mouths, and like that's it. Like they don't have anything else.
But heavy metal.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Okay.
So what happens is, like, Volume 2 comes out, right?
Yeah.
And Volume 2 was censored by Apple. It's not available in the Apple stores. Why? Because in between all the ripping flesh and bits and flying pieces of
Gibbs
parts, you know, like
we would call these Gibbs in Quake.
I mean, there is like this girl. She's like 14, and she's like kind of halfway through a ghost, and she's like cut in half. There's nothing from the waist down, and her intestines are dangling. But that wasn't the problem. No. The problem was one panel in the second volume where you could see two characters that are very human-like having an intercourse. So yeah, like the reasons for something to be censored.
We must protect the legions of 10-year-olds with iPads.
By the way, you can see nothing. Like, I'm not even kidding. You can see nothing.
Well, that's Apple for you. Everybody go buy an Android. But yeah, this is one of the sore points. Censorship in general is a very sore point, especially for video game culture. I mean, I've seen a number of JRPGs coming over from Japan. In Japan, they're much more liberal about all this kind of thing. So the character can be wearing skimpy underpants or a little mini skirt, or just generally looking a bit out of place for a great warrior who's about to save the world. But it's okay. Europe and America solved that. They put much more substantial clothing on them. They make the underwear look more like armor. And they actually do this. They put more clothes on the characters for Western releases.
I think you just solved the mystery of why Superman has his underwear on top. Maybe like the initial drawing was just like this Speedo.
We should check out the Chinese and Japanese release of Superman.
The original Superman is just like this Speedo and a cape and nothing else. And just a big S tattooed on his chest. And they went like, no.
This reminds me of Devlin Wog, the gentleman superhero from 2000 AD.
Oh my god, man, you read 2000 AD? That's really news to me. That's
I only read a little bit of 2000 AD, but when I was in England, we discovered this incredible gentleman superhero, Devlin Wog. He's a homosexual man.
It's starting well, yeah?
He runs around wearing very little clothing most of the time.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. He dressed as a gentleman, basically.
Yes, the gentleman.
I know who you're talking about. Oh my god, yeah.
And he's got a cane or something, and he beats people up with his cane, and he's very camp.
It's pretty brilliant.
There's a conversation he has with Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd strip searches him. And yeah.
And then he runs away. After repeatedly being beaten with a cane and not knowing how to react to that.
Sly Stallone as Judge Dredd. I want to see more Sly Stallone as Judge Dredd.
There's also, The Hobbit. I think we're lagging a bit here, but yeah, The Hobbit.
No, I don't want to talk about The Hobbit again.
It's still in the movie theater.
It's still in the movie theaters.
So we still haven't watched it.
Hollywood pretty boys, blah blah blah.
Yes, pretty dwarves.
Pretty dwarves. They don't exist. Doesn't that other film as well?
Sexy hairy feet.
I'm not sure that's a film.
Should be.
What kind of film would that be? God, something like Teeth.
Sexy hairy feet.
Tassos, are you listening?
Sexy hairy feet versus Sharktopus. Dun, dun, dun.
No. 47 Ronin. With the protagonist, sad Keanu.
Sad Keanu?
Yes.
Is he gonna be sad?
Well, he's sad sometimes. They recently mass 3D printed.
I actually try to remember if I ever seen him smile.
He does look a bit stern most of the time.
I don't think I've ever seen him smile.
But I mean, I don't know if this film's actually going to be any good. It does have Keanu Reeves in it, and there is a Hiroyuki Sanada in it as well, but his name is Oishi, which means tasty.
No.
So I don't see how this could be about samurais yet, unless it's got an alternative meaning. Quite possibly.
Silence.
So much. But that is actually the limit of the local events right now. Things are a bit quiet this week, but that's okay. Next week it'll be louder. There's one other thing that we wanted to point out about the local community, which is we recently were introduced to a group on Facebook called Only for Gamers.
Yeah. It's nice to talk about that.
Only for Gamers they're quite a reasonably sized group now with about 300 members. Very active, a lot of avid video game collectors, and a couple of shops in Cyprus, Onisiforu in Limassol and Gamers Boulevard in Nicosia and Limassol. They participate quite actively, posting news on there, along with the creators of the group. And it actually turns out we have quite a large community of video game collectors in Cyprus now. I mean, it's growing all the time. People are digging their old consoles out their basements.
Well, there's about, 300 people? 300 and something?
Yeah. It's coming along nicely. And, now we actually have all these points of reference in Facebook with active sort of group communities talking about various things. I mean, there's the Only for Gamers, there's the Ant Comics, there's the Otaku CY. There's quite a lot of places you can go to sort of meet new people.
Isengard, Tactile, Gamers Boulevard.
Yeah, loads of places.
Lots of places.
There's just loads of places. But how are you going to pick a place to go? Maybe we can split our bodies into 7 or 8 pieces and spend, my left arm can spend time at Ant Comics, my right arm can spend time at Gamers Boulevard.
Or
my toes can type messages for Otaku CY.
Or you can split your week or your month. I think it's more healthy.
I
think it's healthier.
It's not what we do though, usually, is it?
I think it's healthier.
Healthier. Okay. Less kids. Desi?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that game that you like.
Okay, so, this week...
The game you've been playing?
This week, I've been playing a lot of Guild Wars. I'm back on Guild Wars. And you are supposed to be joining us.
Yeah, I downloaded it, but I haven't had time. Banner Saga.
So we're playing on Guild Wars, and I'm back, and there's a new patch, and there's new events, and there's a new part of the storyline, and we're on the first part there, and we were playing Learner's Path, and it is absolutely ducking impossible to finish. It is impossible. So far we heard of one person who claimed that previously they managed to pass it, but yeah, you don't know how much of this is true. It's not like you can check.
So is it like World of Warcraft where there's massive queues and you have to wait to get into the realm? And then
yeah, basically there's a billion overflows. It's you log into the game. Okay, so it starts. It's every 2 hours, right? So it's every 2 hours, and everybody the moment it stops, everybody's waiting. For 2 hours, basically. If you go there an hour 45 minutes before the event, you're getting into an overflow server. If you get 20 minutes before the event, you're getting into the overflow of the overflow, and
But that's neat. You can sit there with your 3DS playing better games.
But the thing is that you're being switched. You're being switched between the French server, German server. And then they there is a gap in communication that forms at some point.
Sprachen Sie Français?
Yeah, like that. I'm not even kidding. At some point there's not even a language barrier. There's many language barriers. It's ridiculous. You're supposed to do it properly. You're supposed to have there's 5, I don't know what they call them, legs.
Konnichiwa, meine Gesicht.
I haven't seen that yet.
The Japanese server and then the German server.
Yeah, but I haven't yet. I've seen English, German, Swedish, French collide.
It's amazing how racist people are on MMORPGs.
No, actually, if I have to be honest, that's one thing I wanted to tell you about. Okay, if I have to say why I'm not playing LOL, for instance, League of Legends, it will be just this.
Heck.
You play on Guild Wars, and it's the whole system of Guild Wars is made in such a friendly way.
I just should remind you, be careful what you say about League of Legends, because if there's actually 1 or 2 listeners out there, they're probably raging fanboys, and they'll never listen again. Ever again.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna say the stuff that we all know is happening in League of Legends. If you want to start playing League of Legends, you have to start playing with a group of friends. Otherwise, it's as bad as driving in Cyprus. You want to just kill everybody. There is no real teamwork unless you actually know the people. When it's much more friendly on Guild Wars. I find it way more friendly. It's more friendly than WoW even. I don't know, it's nice. I mean, it sounds cheesy,
friendly.
But it was at times. It depends. It's very balanced.
I just remember people spawn camping bosses all the time in World of Warcraft so that I could never get the quest rewards. And then they changed that. Wasn't it Guild Wars 2 that brought in the ability for people to group kill quest bosses and things like this?
To find it from... Yeah, I think it was.
Not in dungeons or anything, just general named mobs in the world.
Might be, actually, yeah.
But then World of Warcraft copied it and brought that in as well.
Actually, World of Warcraft at some point realized that it was kind of like blocking, so they did bring in like what was it? Like you could find the guild, like you could enter it if you wanted to enter an instance. There was like the instance finder.
Yeah, find a party, group finder thing.
Yeah, group finder.
Which killed a lot of the nasty waiting time in the game, which means you don't get time to socialize with people and talk about meaningless things anymore. You're just constantly waiting in queues to play games.
I don't know, man. I'm socially awkward online, so for me this was like a blessing. Like I am like online. Like I don't walk up to people to talk like ever. Like I'm very loner mode.
I remember having a raging argument with somebody on a role-playing server about. Well, he was a dungeon master for one of his local role-playing groups, and I was telling him that he was not imaginative enough and playing standard content and just generally peeing on his parade.
And I know people who've made best friends online across the world from RPGing and online playing gaming, but
like Mike and Martin, like. They're Swedish and American. We met them and they play games and they're amazing.
Well, not exactly in that sense, but yeah.
Oh my God, Martin's taking his
coat
off. Look, he's taking his coat off. Visual reference.
See, yeah, guys, look.
He's getting ready. He's brushing himself up, ready for the kill.
Look to the
left. Look to the left,
and if you can't see them, then there's something wrong with our cameras.
The first object to your left is Martin. Whatever it is, it's Martin. And the first object to your right is Mike. And for the rest of the night, you're going to imagine that. Thank you. So
that is inaccurate even in the studio.
The window is Martin, and your jumper is Mike. Anyway, we're going to have our guests in a few minutes.
We will explain you later exactly how they're positioned within the space and the room and what color of chair they're sitting on and what exactly they're wearing.
We have to paint a picture for you, because how else are you going to enjoy this only audio thing? Anyway, I'm going to cut to some more music now. It's a band called Tripod, and this was a request from Martin. There's a couple of nerdy songs, so enjoy.
Looking for a doctor. There was an actual girl in the comic shop. What a momentous day. I have to check to make sure that she wasn't just a human-sized cardboard display. My competition was a kid with pimples and a guy in a wheelchair. What would the flash do? So I knew I had to act fast. There was a hot girl in the comic shop where I'd never seen a girl before. A kind of indie-looking girl in the comic shop, and she knew her way around the store. Playing games. Oh my God, she's picking out dice. So many questions in my mind. What would be a good pickup line? Why had a hot girl just come in? If the Hulk fought Spider-Man, who would win? I guess that Spider-Man's advantage would be his webs and his manual dexterity. And then again, the Hulk's endurance is limitless and he's stronger than Spidey. It's so hard to know. It's so hard to know. There was a hot girl in the her go. Had she come to the comic shop looking for love? I guess I'll never know. On behalf of all the geeks, I'd just like to say I've been telling you all along that Lord of the Rings was cool. He told you so many times. He told you so many ways. I wore a cloak to school every day. Who's laughing now? Ha ha! Now you'll all do as I did. You'll name your first child Bilbo. And friends.
Sure.
Do you have any friends? Well, that was Tripod, 2 songs by Tripod. There was The Hot Girl at the Comic Book Shop, and, the nerd songs. All the nerds. Yes. Check out Tripod. They're fantastic. They've got a number of geeky songs, as well as sort of current events type songs about Clinton and the Queen, and things like this. Anyway, our 2 guests are here. Desi, do you want to introduce the guests? These humans who are sitting here with us?
Okay, so Peter is on the left towards the window. I am in the middle next to Peter. Then next to me, now we're going from left to right.
Visual references. They're
Visual
very
reference.
important.
We promised we're going to make visual reference. So, yeah, because they're kind of like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You guys are awkward. So, yeah, like on my right, I have Martin Eriksson.
Hello.
Who is wearing a dark blue shirt and jeans. And in the same spirit of blue and Marvel superheroes, you have, yes, Iron Man,
The Avengers.
The Avengers, yeah. Part of the Avengers. In a more retro-looking t-shirt is Michael Ide.
Hey.
He's wearing jeans as well.
He's also wearing jeans.
So these 2 guys, between them, have a number of years under their belts playing these card games, these CCGs and these TCGs. So, first of all, I just want to go past you and ask you where you started. Are there any games that kind of stuck out for you? Like, where did you start playing competitively, whatever? Mike?
I started playing Magic in '94. And I hung out in comic book shops, and that's where they sold them. So I just at some point decided to start playing. So I've been playing for about 20 years now. And And then I also played, there was a Star Wars CCG that was quite good, and then there's a bunch of new ones out recently, but mostly Magic.
So you started as like you went into the comic book store and you saw the Magic and you were like, "Thou get me women. That will get me women. I should start playing this. That'll make me cool."
I was young enough that wasn't even much of a concern. I started as a kid, but it has in fact not gotten me women. So, no.
Martin?
All right. I started looking at Magic cards. We didn't really know too much how to play with them in the beginning. We bought some decks, we bought some boosters, but we didn't really know too much about it. I didn't really start playing much more competitively in the Magic stuff until I got on Magic Online, basically. And that was back in 2005. And from there, obviously, I ended up buying a lot of cards as well and played a lot of online. Then I took a detour into the World of Warcraft TCG, did some fun with that. And since then, I've been monitoring all the online ones because it was just difficult to find the time to play real cards when it was available. So I've been doing monitoring on most of the online stuff lately, and I'm fairly competitive, so that's what I do.
Yeah. So have you guys been to any sort of competitions or like even local play events and things like this? I mean, obviously you both started playing outside of Cyprus, but abroad and Cyprus, have you been participating much over the years?
There's a Magic community in Cyprus, and you know, there's a couple of shops that have tournaments here in Larnaca and Limassol. And then also people from here have traveled to they call them Grand Prix, so in London, Manchester, and some people went to Bilbao last year. So yeah, people would travel abroad for bigger sort of money tournaments.
Me, I haven't really been that involved in the community here, mostly because of time. And so my forte has mostly been online, in all the different online communities and different games that you can now get online.
Yeah, the thing that's interesting that's happened, when Magic started, it was sort of the first game like this, the first tradable card game. And then there were a bunch of others that came out kind of around the same time. There was like,
Netrunner.
Netrunner, right.
Netrunner, and then you have the Battletech.
Battletech, there's the werewolf one.
And the Jihad.
And Jihad, yeah, which was vampires. Yeah, so there were like all these games, and they all, yeah, just to clarify what Jihad was.
Like you need to stress it out.
Yeah. The connotation of that word has changed in the last 20 years, but okay, at least in the US. But anyways, they all went out of business except for Magic. And then Magic got copyrights to all of these in-game concepts, like tapping and mana and whatever, all this different stuff. But those copyrights expired. Was it a year ago?
It was in September.
It was in September. So right now you're seeing all of these new games, Solforge and Hearthstone, and you know these better than I do, but they're all exploding now because there's all this intellectual property that they can now use in their games. No doubt they were developing them before September, but yes, they've all started to kind of come onto the market.
I think they realize that there is a very big untapped, and with all this mobile playing, a lot of these games obviously want to tap all the apps, and since it's all, people are getting used to the idea of that you have small app purchases inside apps, and this is obviously the route they want to go, and they want to say, no, we're much cheaper than playing with real cardboard. See, you can buy a whole pack of cards for only 99 cents.
Yeah.
There's a number of issues here with these online CCGs. I mean, firstly, when it comes to mobile play, there aren't actually that many of them out that have good working mobile clients yet. I mean,
well, okay, so here's the thing. One of the other reasons why the other CCGs are springing up is because Magic's software is, I always like to say, it is my favorite game and the worst program on my computer. Because it is really, can I swear on here? Is it a piece of shit?
A little bit. Yes,
it is really, really bad. Yes. And so, because they hire Magic players and then try to teach them to code, and that is not a great plan. And so, the other games, even though maybe the games themselves are not as complex, the software is good. So you can sit down and you don't have to beat your head against the interface.
Yes, I mean, there's been lots of strides. I mean, none of the Magic you can't really play on the foot. You can play Magic and Planeswalkers, which is a fairly good standalone way to play Magic, to learn the game. And I mean, their point is that you're supposed to play it, and then you're going to start buying real cardboard.
Right. There's a simplified version called Duels of the Planeswalkers, is what he's talking about.
Yes, and that is available on Apple, on Android, so that you can get on anything. The other games that currently is available on mobile is Duels of the Heroes of Might of Magic, Duels of Champions is available for iOS, but only for the iPad. Then you have the first actually game that really broke through to the mobile market was the game called Shadow Era. It's been that is available on all platforms, so you can play it on your Mac, your PC, you can play it on your Android device, any iOS device. And lately now you have Solforge as well, which is currently available in the Appleverse, and also the Android version is just around the corner.
So a lot of mobile games coming out very soon, at least. I mean, people are probably waiting for Hearthstone to catch up.
Sure. Well, it's still in beta, right?
Yeah, Hearthstone is still in beta, but they opened up. It's open beta in some areas now.
Yeah, recent news this week they opened up. Yeah.
But I think they won't be far behind getting to mobile, I suspect.
No, they have to. They have to.
They have to.
Perhaps even a strategic move, waiting to see what everyone else does. And you reckon?
Maybe. I mean, this is the big thing, is that Magic has so many issues that I think they can't even think about going onto mobile in the next few years. They have so many problems, legacy problems.
Well, they're entrenched.
It's also because you have to look at when you deal with the mobile market, you have to look at how you actually interact with the game. I mean, Magic doesn't really suit itself to be a completely asynchronous way of playing, because you have so many interrupts. The whole game system is that you can challenge anything that your opponent does at any given time.
Right.
And whereas some of the newer games, such as Hearthstone, they have streamlined a lot that you can only do stuff on your turn, and you can never do anything on your opponent's turn, which simplifies the stream. But
I could probably cut in at this point and say that Martin encouraged me to check out the game Hex recently.
Yes, Hex is it's a fairly new. They were kickstarted by Cryptozoic. Cryptozoic is the company that currently publish World of Warcraft TCG. So they have some experience in card games, and now they're doing their own spin on it online, and it's all going to be, they are mixing regular TCG with a MMO.
Mm-hmm.
And well, as it is now in the alpha that is available, the verdict is that this is basically 95% of what Magic is. It's just different art.
I mean, what I noticed was this is Magic with the card art is nowhere near as good. And the system is horrible with the interrupts and everything. There's so many buttons to press to carry out a single turn.
Yeah, so this is one of the things about what makes it hard for Magic to work as a video game or on a tablet or something, is that because, you know, when you're sitting across from someone and playing, anytime that you want to interrupt and respond to what they're doing, you can just tell them, right? Like, stop, I'm going to do something. And that all kind of works out. But to do that, they've set up this system of priorities on MTGO, and it's actually really complicated. It's very common for streamers to lose games because they misuse the interface to control these interrupts. So just learning that interface is really complicated. I haven't seen how Hex is trying to do it, but on the other hand, when you get rid of that like Hearthstone has or Solforge has, then you just limit the complexity of the game. Mm-hmm. So those games, they cannot be as deep or as complicated strategically as Magic because they don't have that element.
So this is a point for new players. I mean, the kind of game that a new player would go for, and therefore a new emerging market maybe for a company like Blizzard. And
sure.
Yeah, I see it very difficult for new players, if they are interested in only playing online, why anyone would go for Magic Online. It's completely, I mean, there is no reason why anyone would do that. So probably Wizard will have to step up the game and actually come up with something. Okay, they tried now with the Planeswalker, but that's still just going to be, I mean, that's just for offline play, and you're not playing against anyone.
Right.
And most people that are into this these types of CCGs and TCGs are fairly competitive people, and they want to play against other people, where tournaments is a major part of the whole thing, and that is a very important part.
Yeah, I agree.
We haven't seen that from Hearthstone yet, certainly. No.
It's still early days for Hearthstone. I mean, I think we'll see what they do.
I mean, Hearthstone, they have their draft, their arena play.
The arena, right.
So that's just a plain old, I mean, their way of doing draft, where you're drafting a pool and you're not drafting against specific people.
Yeah.
And then you just play out against all other people in this pool who has drafted at the same time as you, and they try to match you against people that have the same record. And I mean, that works because you will always have someone to play with. You don't have to worry about. So I think it's
pretty basic. I mean,
it's a basic game. It's a simple game. It's the mainstream game. I'm sure it's going to do great because it has the WoW name on it. It's going to get all the people that wants to try something new, and they're currently in WoW, and they're definitely going to play it.
I mean, I think if you think about the kinds of games that people actually play on a smartphone or a tablet, they are simple games, right? Like, people aren't playing really in-depth games on mobile devices very much. So I think it'll appeal to, like, the more competitive social casual gamers, you know.
But it's basically only one game currently that is completely asynchronous play, and that is Solforge. All the other ones, they're still fairly stuck in the old culture of how a TCG should work, because they're all basing their basic premises of Magic. Whereas Solforge is the first game that actually sort of breaks free and does something completely different. So they have coded everything from the scratch up to be an asynchronous game that you can go and you can play one turn, and then you go and the other guy play, and you come back and you play another turn. So, but that's quite a different mentality, so it depends a little bit with what you're looking for. But still, people play it as a synchronous game as well, where you are sitting down and you can play timed games. So it's an asynchronous game, but when the game has to be finished within half an hour, well, I think that's more or less a synchronous game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the game you would recommend to beginners?
Yeah, if somebody wants to start playing Magic, I mean, again, you have some experience with that. I'm talking to Mike, like...
Yeah, if you want to start playing Magic, I think that the two things you could do. One is to find a shop to go and physically play Magic with people. The other option is to get this game, Duels of the Planeswalker, which I think is a really nice introduction. And if you play through that game and you want more, then you can sort of dive in either again at a shop or on MTG Online. But the thing is, the scaled down version, Duels of the Planeswalker, the rules aren't different, but it just sort of hides the complexity from you. So there's going to be this big jump in difficulty, and there's not really a middle ground.
But just looking purely at which game is currently the most developed game for playing online, it has to be the Ubisoft's Heroes of Might and Magic and Duels of Champions, which is currently, it's been out for a couple of years now, and they have around 1,000 cards currently in their rotation, and it's fairly simple. I mean, it has some complexity because you have specific lanes that you're playing in, and you have defenders, and you have people blockers, and you have heroes. That's definitely one of the things that have come up a lot more after the World of Warcraft TCG, is that a lot of these games, they have that you are a hero and the hero is represented on the actual board, whereas Magic, obviously, you don't actually have a hero, you are the hero.
Yeah.
But a lot of these new games, they have a hero that actually have specific stats. So both Shadow Era and obviously now the new Hearthstone, as well as the Duel of Champions, they all have a hero that has specific abilities that you use during the game.
Yeah, I think I would probably recommend Hearthstone over something like that, just because I expect it to have the biggest player base like a year from now. And so I think if someone was just getting involved now, maybe that's where they would want to be, because it's the one that sort of has a guaranteed future, whereas maybe Heroes of Might and Magic dies out as it has more competition.
It's also the fact that Hearthstone is basically free. So like
All of these games are free, actually.
Except
no,
Magic.
but what I
Except
mean is
Magic.
like Hearthstone is free and it's within Blizzard, and
Right. I think mostly because it's within
Yeah.
Blizzard, it's just sort of
So they have their lore, they have their world, they have
Right.
a huge player base already.
Right,
they can
exactly.
just transfer a chunk of it over.
Yes.
yeah.
Because, I mean, the only thing of the games that we mentioned so far, it's only Magic that is actually pay to play right away.
Mhm.
Whereas all the other ones they have a free play model. It might be some games are more grindy than others. Some games you have to spend hours upon hours to get enough to actually use your free money sort of to buy cards. So they have a little bit of a different mentality how they do that. For example, Solforge is of the belief that your daily rewards should be handed out to you as quickly as possible. So whereas, for example, in Hearthstone, you can do several hours of grinding to collect all the possible rewards that you can get in a day. And the same for the champions, and even more so for Shadow Era. You can grind all day long, and you can get you get a few, whatever their currency is, gold or silver or shards or whatever. So it depends a little bit. Whereas,
It's about striking the right balance. Really.
Yes.
You want to.
Yeah. I think Magic, you do have to buy all of your cards. Or you get some very nominal amount of cards up front, but you can't even really play with them. But your cheapest option is to play Pauper, so you're talking $50 or $60 to get a deck, and then you can play that deck in the Pauper free rooms. But I think realistically, most people who play have a budget of at least $50 or $100 a month to play Magic Online.
So you're dropping a whole bunch of money on a game or multiple games, and you've made an investment. Now you own something, right? You've got some digital content to your name.
Yeah, I mean, you can, like, if I quit playing MTGO, I could sell my content for what they call tickets, and I could convert those tickets into dollars. But, like, you're talking about really a fraction of what you put in. I mean, it's not.
but it's still like online.
yeah,
I
but
mean,
well, you have the.
it's not the same value as your real cards.
Close.
It's comparable, actually. It's just
They're
that,
not collectibles. That's what I mean. Models.
Well, they're collectible in your collection online.
Yeah.
No, but I mean like your cards. Like, when did you start playing? Like you started playing ages
94,
ago.
yeah, 20
I
years
mean,
ago.
the cards if you kept cards from there.
Sadly, I sold all my cards when I was 18. And
Wow.
Yeah, I remember you saying something about
Yeah,
that.
it's
There were
really
some real
depressing.
gems in there, right?
There were.
Yeah, but when
Sad
we
to
say
think
this,
about.
we say there's gems in there. Like they had a collectible value.
Yeah.
Stop rubbing it in.
That's what I was getting at. Your online collection does not have that same value. I mean,
It does, well,
You can't keep it in a shoebox.
you can't keep it in a shoe.
so it has value in the sense that people will pay money, and the prices are sort of comparable.
As long as the software and the company actually exists.
Exactly. This is my big thing. It's sort of like Wizards can at any point be like, actually, we're done, and then like your online collection is gone. I can play with my paper cards forever, right? Wizards go out of business, and I can just invite Peter over for beer, and we can play Magic on the kitchen table. So I think there's a difference there.
Yeah,
but,
and also we have to see now, because we tend to lump together CCGs and TCGs. If you look on the online space, it's actually only Magic that is a TCG, as in T for trading. None of the other games currently actually support any trading in the game.
Though Hex is planning on having a very open trading community.
Solforge is also planning, but it's still not there. Whereas Hearthstone has gone out and publicly said that they are not going to have any trading, period.
Though they did leave, I remember reading that interview, and they did mention that there might be room for change at some
Yes,
point.
because when the demands from the top players might become insistent enough. So
Yeah.
what these games do instead is that they give you the option that you can convert your excess copies, because you will have excess copies of cards. And since it's an online game, you don't really ever need more than whatever is the max, if it's 2, 3, or 4. So you need to get rid of those. And Hearthstone has this crafting system where you can convert it into dust, and then the dust you can use to get new cards. And in the Duels of Champions, they have this idea of you can drag a bunch of cards and they get valued at something, and then you can use that to actually buy whatever is the card of the day for sale. So there is actually fairly hard to get specific cards, because it's only whatever is the day sale that you can convert your existing cards into.
Yeah.
And then you have the Shadow Era, where every single card that you own can be sold at any point, and for maybe a tenth of the value or less. And then you can use that money to actually buy new cards, any card that you want, for the full value. That works. And currently in Solforge there is no crafting yet, but in the next patch they're going to introduce crafting, and it's going to be something similar to what is currently available in the Hearthstone, though they have plans for a full auction house / trading further down the line.
So it's about giving players something to do when they're not playing their game and they're not deck building. They're sort of building their collection. They're catalyzing new cards.
Yes. But most of these online games now, they do support that. I mean, if you have 4 copies of a card, which is typical in Magic, that's how many you want, you can build as many decks as you want out of that, and it doesn't really use more copies.
Right.
Except for Duels of Champions. There, you actually need 1 copy per deck that you're doing.
Yep.
Unless you take it out of the deck and put it into a new deck. So that is a little bit annoying. I mean, we live in that digital age. We should be able to make as many decks as we want. So this is a bit of a,
real world tribute to the cardboard.
Yeah, that's the thing. Some people appear to be slightly,
I guess.
yeah, stuck in the cardboard world, even though we moved to a digital medium. So yeah, I mean, if we want to go into more details of the differentiation between the digital CCGs, so.
Sure. I mean, we can probably go into quite a lot of detail. We've got plenty of time left on the show.
I don't know if you want to run through the different games and generally how they work, so people can make up their mind if there's something that they want to get into.
I don't know. It's really hard to explain how they work without showing people, I think.
That is true.
Yeah.
This is why we have the visuals.
We
need another 2 hours.
You brought your
and
magic
we can
decks with you,
describe
right?
everything.
Whip them out of your pockets, have a game, we'll describe everything that goes on. Everything. Fantastic detail.
We'll do this actually. We can do this another time. We'll just sit here and
Actually,
we
narrate
could
the
just
game.
highlight the major differences between the current games.
I would just say, actually, but Magic has gotten better about coverage. So they have big events, not every weekend, but maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And they've gotten better at having live coverage, and they'll have the feed, and then they have announcers, and they usually have one announcer who, in theory, is good at the game and makes insightful comments with mixed results, and then they always have the other commentator who's explaining the game as if you don't really know how to play, so someone who knows the basics can watch sort of these high-level games and understand what's going on, which is quite nice.
Well, if anyone knows the basics, I'm sure they might be able to recognize some of the lyrics in this song coming up. Martin requested a song by a certain character called Goremi on Facebook. On YouTube, and it's a Magic the Gathering rap song. Very nerdy. I'm just gonna go ahead and play that right now.
Sure.
I got my black backpack and I'm ready to roll with my crew. Everybody, yeah, it's out of control. Got an itch, I'ma scratch it. It's gonna be tragic. I got a big old hankerin' for playing some Magic. So I'm busting out my cards, gonna make me some decks. You gonna pack them full of spells? Baby, what you expect? Got my dice, got my sleeves, got my life count meter. You talk to any girls today? No. Me neither. I'm a planeswalker. Oh, a master of sorcery, lightning bolt to the dome. If you ever come close to me, try me in a battle and I won't be worse. You're messing with the baddest mother in the multiverse. Mono red, mono black, blue control, stop it greedy. Gonna take it down, my strategy's white weenie. Tapping on my mana, I pay these wine. You've never seen a mystic wizard cast a spell sweet as mine. But I only tap planes, ain't nobody can touch. I like rock weenie so much, they call me Cherry Sandusky. Fellas wanna play this other game? The cards are slightly smaller, I can grab it. Nah, son, we playing Magic. Okay, first, man, I'm clamoring. When I'm speaking in my sleep and when I'm stammering. When I'm thinking in the sinking, when I'm lathering. All I'm thinking about is play Magic the Gathering. Starting up a new game, I'ma roll my D20. Gonna play first, so yeah, it's gonna be funny. Draw 7 cards and I look in my hand. I'm like a Palestinian, I ain't got no land. Peel 6 cards, hand looks alright. Look at Carl Icon, looking for a proxy fight. What, I can't use proxy? No, you can't. Well, why can't I? Because unlike the state of Georgia, you ain't got a savannah. Rampant growth, dropping land like a fool. Accelerating in the trees like I got a bayou. Because my deck straight features big fat creatures. Turn them sideways and dance my gold feature. What you playing, tribal cats? That deck's looking stupid. Call it kitty litter, all you're doing is stupid. Switching to fish, you's about to get bent. I thought you only played white Remy. Yeah, but it's Lent. Looking to buy what they got, I'll be your man. I'm your one-stop shop when it comes to contraband. Collectible foil, best check on your eyelids. So many $10 cards, you think that this was papyrus? Got any standard rares? This a quality good look. So much type 2, it's like a Paula Deen cookbook. I don't see any counterspell. My supplies are scary. Need so much permission, man, you think I was married. Attack phase, I'm using the stack in. Go 187 all up on your dragon. Attacking. Wait, how'd that dude get bigger? You're like Plaxico Burris, you don't understand triggers. Think I'll be defeated, better check your sobriety. Only thing that I ain't beating is my social anxiety. Drop a Sarah Angel and I'm moving fast. Tap my man, or do not tap. Alright, this is vigilant. Sorry. Up at work, man, I'm clamoring. When I'm speaking in my sleep and when I'm stammering. When I'm thinking in the sinking, when I'm lathering. All I'm thinking about is playing Magic the Gathering.
Card games, wish they were the same. Parents
So we're back. That was the Skiffs, Tapped Out the Mana, another request from Martin Eriksson. Yes. He's been filling our ears with music tonight. So we touched briefly on sort of digital content and cards and what might happen if we lose them at some point if the servers die. I mean, as players, would you be expecting to be remunerated by the game creators if the server died at some point? Perhaps unexpectedly?
Well, what do you mean unexpectedly? Like, if the server crashes, in theory they should be able to restore it. Like,
data center gets hit by a meteorite. That kind of scenario.
If the company is still alive, I mean, they should provide either new cards or, I mean, to the content as far as they can. I mean, if they didn't have any backups, then they're probably not going to be a company for very much longer anyway, and then they're gone.
Right.
So that's the problem, obviously, if it is a digital card game, the company goes bust, goes under. There was one game that I've been on for a while, which is called Star Chamber, which is a very high-level strategic collectible card game. And they were around for a while, and then Sony bought them up, and then eventually Sony pulled the plug. And there was nothing to do. The cards that people had, I mean, they were gone. People could cry on each other's shoulders, but there was nothing to do. If the company's gone, the company's gone. So that's obviously always a risk. But the question is, are you collecting to collect, or are you collecting to play? Because to some degree, at least for me, the collecting is a side effect of playing. Whereas a lot of people collecting actual cardboard cards are collecting for the collecting's sake as well. Whereas they actually see value in the stuff that they buy, and they can justify buying of it as in, I will probably get this money back when I eventually want to give it up. Whereas I think people playing digital, they probably must see it more like, I'm investing this money because I'm having fun. I don't know if I will ever get this money back, but that's how it is.
I want to crush my opponents. I want to keep having fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I think for me, with paper Magic, it's I have to sort of be aware of the secondary market and what happens with prices, just because that makes the game affordable for me to play. If I'm not aware of it at all, then I would have to spend a lot more to play. But certainly I'm playing first, and collecting is just sort of this thing that I have to do in order to be able to play good decks and be competitive.
So you stay astride of the metagame. You try and sort of figure out where value may lie, and spoilers are coming up.
Right, you try to kind of guess when new cards come out. They come out in Magic about every 3 months. And then everyone sort of takes their best guess of what cards are worth. And if you think their best guess is wrong, then you can try to exploit that and get some profit out of it. But yeah, that's not something I do necessarily because I enjoy it, but because it just makes it more affordable to play, assuming you guess right more often than you guess wrong.
Yeah, and then the obviously, I mean, if people have the reference of Magic and how much Magic is costing, and most of these new online CCGs, they are cheaper.
They're much
cheaper than Magic.
Yeah, that's
so to get a competitive game, because most of them are fairly new and the cards are fairly limited. For example, in Shadow Era, you can probably get a fairly highly competitive deck for around $20. If you compare that with Magic, where if you want to go on a
300 maybe
at least. So a lot of these games, they are could be fairly inexpensive to still get a competitive deck that is doable. So it's a little bit different approach, maybe, that you see it more like an investment over time to have fun. So it's different. And so then we might as well, I guess, go into the major difference from Magic. And
there's two. There's the lands and the stack.
Yes. So the big thing with Magic, obviously, is that you have all these lands, whereas that is your resources, which take up one third of your deck. So you have your 60 card deck, and 1/3 of them is land. And a lot of these new games,
you didn't explain what land is.
Land is just a resource, and you have.
And how does it relate to mana?
Mana is generated from the lands.
So basically, you have to put lands into play before you can use any of your other cards. So if you have a bunch of non-land cards in your hand, then you can't actually do anything. So we call it getting mana screwed. So it's possible in Magic to be in a situation where you have cards and you cannot use any of them, and you just have to pass the turn and do nothing. And that doesn't ever happen in the other games. They've gotten rid of this whole thing, so
Yes.
either your resources build steadily, or you don't need resources in the same sense, or number of you can play a certain number of cards per turn, but you're always able to play something, so you're always sort of in the game.
Yes. For example, I mean, this was mostly introduced in the WoW TCG regionally, whereas one card, any card in your hand, you just basically sacrifice or whatever, you play it down as a resource, and that's how you build up your resources. And then obviously these new online CCGs has taken to the next level, where you have Hearthstone, where you get just one resource every turn, and there's nothing you do about it. You don't have to do anything about it. You get it.
And that has a massive effect on the metagame and the balancing issues.
Yes,
it does, because, so for example, in Hearthstone, where you just play one card per turn, every card costs the same, right? So there's no sort of resource currency. Everything costs one. In Magic, you have a range. Some things cost nothing, some things cost 15 resources. So you have sort of this...
And then also the fact that you have different resources.
And you have different types of resources.
Here's only one resource, and it just grows, and every turn you can play
so I think we're probably... Yeah. So the point is that in Magic, there's this resource management element where you have to kind of decide what you're using and what you're not. But and the other games, they get rid of that. And so it's less frustrating to play, but also simpler to play.
Yes. And then you have, for example, the duels of champions, whereas you have actually 3 resources, and on your turn you can choose to advance one of the resources to grow by 1 every turn. So you choose which resource you actually want to advance based on your deck, etc. Then you have Solforge, which doesn't actually have any resources at all, whereas the resource is actually that on every turn you can only play 2 cards, but you can play any 2 cards, but that's it. So your resource is actually the number of cards that you play per turn, and that limits it in a quite different way.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have Shadow Era. Shadow Era is basically a copy of the old WoW TCG, so they play that you sacrifice a card from your hand.
So does this stifle the diversity of mechanics, or does it actually allow for innovation?
Well, I think that it does allow for more diversity, but in general with strategic games, when you have something that is both a positive and a negative, it makes the game more complicated. So like in Solforge, they said you play 2 cards a turn, so you don't have an option there. This is what you get to do every turn. Whereas in a game like Magic, where you have to make a decision about how you're going to balance your resources versus your spells, because you have more control over it, it makes it a harder game to play, but let's say a more skillful game to play.
I don't know about more.
No, of course it does, for deck construction.
But you have the same amount of cards that you have to fill in your deck. So in Magic, normally you have a 60-card deck for a tournament deck. All right, you're normally focusing on that you're going to have 1 or 2 colors, mostly for mostly for constructed competition decks.
No, but okay, that's as a general guideline, but this is exactly the point. Is that so in 60 cards? So, you have some competitive decks that run 19 lands out of 60.
Yes.
You have some that run 27 out of 60.
Yes.
So deciding where that falls, the composition of lands that you want to use.
Yes.
Some decks run 1 color, some decks run all 5. So you have all these trade-offs as you increase the different types of resources you need, then you increase the chance that you're going to get screwed in the game. But you do that because you want access to more powerful cards. So that's what I mean, is that you have these trade-offs, and the trade-offs I think make the game more interesting, but when they blow up in your face, obviously it's very frustrating. So most of the new digital games have removed the trade-off.
Because it does frustrate so many players that they have decided it's not worth it. Yeah. So obviously it's easier because you don't have to think about it, so most of your mental capacity goes to figure out what you actually do with all your cards that you have to populate. Because land is always, it is something that you have to have, and they remove it. So now you only have to have the cards that you want to have.
It's still part of the strategy, though.
Yes, I mean,
It does make the strategy, the level you have to like think of your
Or perhaps a tried and true strategy to add.
It does put it down. I mean, if you don't have that.
I mean, they're paddling in new water in a number of ways with these games. And
yes. I mean, for example, many people might think that Solforge is a simpler game because you have to play 2 cards every turn. Okay, that sounds okay. You just play 2, and you always have 5 cards at the beginning of your turn, because at the end of your turn, you discard all the cards that you have remaining, and then you will draw new cards. It's like, that sounds simple. But then you have the added complexity that every time you play a card, it levels, which means that you get a more powerful card the next time you will actually draw it. And your deck gets reshuffled every 4 turns. So if you have 30 cards, which is a standard deck, so you have 30 cards. So in a round, which is 4 rounds makes between the shuffle. So it means that you'll be drawing 20 of the cards, but you will be leveling, of those 20 cards, you will be leveling 8, which is 2 per turn. There are some other cards that let you level more, but so beginning of turn 5, you are going to have, there is a chance that you're going to get some of your level 2 cards, but maybe not, because 8 of them have been leveled to level 2. And this opens up a whole different dimension of complexity, because then some cards are more powerful in level 1, some more powerful in level 2, and some obviously are much more powerful in level 3. Whereas maybe some are even really weak in level 2, which means that maybe it's not worth leveling that one just yet, or maybe you have to level that one as soon as possible if you have it, but then you risk losing board control. So it's a different type of trade-off. But yeah. So Solforge is definitely the game that is most different from anything else out there currently. Whereas Shadow Era, Duels of Champions, and Hearthstone, they sort of build on the concept that was introduced by Magic. Yeah. Whereas Solforge is the first one that breaks completely new ground. Maybe that's because, I mean, it's the same designer that designed Magic originally, Richard Garfield. Yeah. He's involved here with pro players.
Yeah, so Solforge, I should say, Solforge is designed by a bunch of professional Magic players and Richard Garfield, who designed Magic. So these are people who have a lot of experience with Magic, and so when they designed the game, they weren't interested in making a clone of Magic, which is really what everyone else did. And so it's not surprising that they have some innovative mechanics, really different mechanics.
I mean, Garfield said that he had been thinking about something like this for a long time, but the technology wasn't there.
Right, it doesn't really make sense. I mean, you can't really do it with cardboard. Right?
Yeah, when they were playtesting this originally, they were like pulling their hair, because how you level cards and put it back in your stack and stuff like that. So I find that quite interesting. So obviously I'm slightly biased, since this is my game of choice currently, though Duels of Champion is a very good game as well.
My game of choice is Hearthstone right now, because I don't have very much time to play these games, and I get to pull out an angry chicken every now and then turn him into a 2020 and slam, massive victory. This is important, okay?
I think Hearthstone will be very successful, but I think it's not going to be the choice of people that come from a CCG background. I think this is going to be the mainstream card game, the game that introduces the masses to CCGs.
And therefore maybe a gateway to people.
And then possibly will be a gateway to other games. But obviously, when people start investing serious money in these games, it's fairly hard to leave, because you feel that you have invested money and you don't really want to leave because you're not going to get anything out. Mm-hmm. So that's also one thing with digital. Like, you tie up your stuff.
Well, it's what they did to the MMO market.
Yes.
They kind of captured the player base, and then no one else could survive.
Well, and the other thing is and this is the same with MMOs also, if you spend a bunch of time learning one game, develop skills, I mean, Magic now has like 16,000 cards or something. I mean, so if you've played for a long time and you know the card base and all these strategies, and I don't, for me, like, I don't really want to play another game as well as Magic, right? Like, a game would have to be so good that I quit playing Magic and start playing something else. I'm not going to spend the time to play both. The time or the money to
Why
play
would
both.
you?
Yeah, exactly. So,
and then when you have so much invested in a game, it's hard that anything can come along that will capture you the same way.
Right. I mean, it's not like a shooter, right? Like a first-person shooter, you're gonna play through one, and then you finish, and you'll play through another one, right? But like a game like a CCG or an MMO, really, once people settle into one, as long as it continues to be
Fun.
then they will just keep playing that one.
Yes.
Maybe not even MMO. Maybe not even MMO, because MMO, if 10-20% of the people you used to play with move into something else, or they can't play at the moment, you are willing to move somewhere else.
This is also true with CCGs. Actually, one thing, and I've seen two
But not with
shops-
TCG. Not.
Well, with the digital ones, you mean? Yeah, digital changes that to some extent, but like when it was all paper, I mean, I saw two shops go out of business because this happened, because some chunk of people either left or went off to college or whatever it was, and then everyone else just kind of stopped going, and the shop eventually failed. But I think this still happens. You'll have pockets of people who know each other, and then if enough of them quit, like, you lose your interest.
Well, this was a major complaint with Hearthstone, actually, where they're not really letting people play with their friends so much. They're incentivizing playing with other people, but
Right.
there's no personal element. You can't actually talk to the other player. You're
You don't
only
have a chat
offered.
thing or something?
There's no chat.
Most of these games don't actually have any chat
That's
because
probably good. The chat in
Because,
MTGO
yes.
is vile.
yes, it's quite.
But
it's
isn't that
quite
also
rude.
part of the
We
game?
were
I mean,
we were talking
Oh
about
my
LOL
God.
before. It can beat that.
I mean,
it can beat
you're
that.
face to face with a player at some magic
Well, that's
tournament.
different.
Like,
You can be 10 times more rude when you don't actually sit face to face.
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, you
Yeah.
can't actually. You're not allowed to be rude at a sanctioned tournament. Like, if Martin tells me to go fuck myself, I can call. Oh, yeah, sorry. If he says.
If he
whatever.
tells him to go duck, he said
Yeah.
duck.
Then I can call a judge and say, Martin just said this to me. And, and like he'll get a warning. If he does it again, they'll probably throw him out of the tournament. Like, you can't do this stuff in a live event. But if I'm playing online, there's this like unmonitored chat room. People say really nasty stuff. I don't know. I usually like hide the windows and can't be bothered. So yeah.
I mean, another thing, I mean, you mentioned it now is obviously events. I mean, events is a big thing in this because
Yeah.
most people that are into CCGs and TCGs are fairly competitive. They want to compete. They
Right.
want to show that they are, the king of the hill, and they want to win. And Magic obviously started all this because they have the Pro Tour, and there is a lot of cash prizes, and people can actually win a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you have some people doing this full time as their job. So obviously, most Magic players, at least the ones that are starting out, I mean, this is something that they aspire to do, to become this great player that they can do this full time, and this is all the thing they're doing. And now obviously everything is moving online. They're trying to capture that, but obviously you don't have this because Magic has this juggernaut that just keeps rolling. So.
But I do think, I mean, in the same way that you have big tournaments for, let's say, StarCraft or whatever, Hearthstone has I think will have such a big player base that they'll be able to support big money online tournaments as well.
Yes.
I'd be very surprised if they couldn't pull that off.
Yeah. I mean, the Duels of Champions, they did have their big world championship in November, and they had a $40,000 prize pool. And that was not actually taking place online. It was taking place in France during the game convention. And they had set it up so the people that were playing in the tournament, I mean, it was on the big screens and they were sitting basically up with each other, but in front of a computer. Same as, StarCraft and all these other buddies,
Right.
but they were playing against each other. So obviously this is going to come, and I mean, all of these online, they want to do the big tournaments. I mean, that's where you get the buzz, you get all the young kids into it,
only this time it will be esports, and they'll be having
Yes,
tablets
exactly.
instead of deck boxes.
Yes,
So-
that's where it's going for sure. But most of these games, they don't have fully fledged out tournament stuff yet. They have like maybe some drafting or smaller tournaments, like Hearthstone. They have their draft, and Solforge they have a similar type of draft, and then they also have constructed tournaments. But it's also all taking place in a pool. You don't have a set type of invitationals or where you're playing specific people and you're playing until you have one winner and stuff like that. That's all organized on the side. So
there's a lot to look forward to, really.
I think so.
So there's, I mean, really just so much stuff going on right now with these online games.
For sure.
And we have so much to look forward to, like, so much. I mean,
This is definitely the golden age for digital collectible card games.
and who knows, maybe one day we'll see a peer-to-peer card game. Or an open protocol for card games. In any case, we're running out of time here. We've got 2 minutes to go. I'd like to say a big thank you to Mike and Martin
Big thanks
for
for
coming
coming, and you should come again.
on. Yeah, we'll need to invite you back again
We
because
need
this
to
is
invite you back again because like
a
it's a
wide
huge,
and sprawling topic. We can.
It's a huge topic.
There's so much still to talk about. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Yep.
Anytime.
And we're gonna leave with
Are we gonna leave?
yes.
I don't want to leave.
We can't do this every time.
Oh, okay, fine. We're gonna leave.
We have to go.
So we'll do this properly
now.
this time.
Yes.
Tune in next time to Nerd Me On. Same time next week.
Every Thursday from 9 till 11 on MyCyRadio.eu.
And check us out on Facebook.com/NerdMeOn. Interact. We're going to leave you with another request from Martin, a birthday request. Viva la Revolution.
This is not from Martin.
This is not from you.
This is not from Martin.
It's not Martin?
No.
Who requested this?
No, this is a request from Frixos, who is going to have a birthday in 1 hour.
Well,
1 hour and a minute.
happy birthday, Freak Sauce.
Happy birthday, Frixo.
Enjoy.